I think the purpose of life is to become the version of you that you always needed.
I'm the champion, I can not be stopped. I can't stop, I can't. This is my world, it cannot be rocked. You can't rock my world, son. Wanna thank everyone who helped me get here.
I want you to think about that time in your life. See, we all have them. It's that triumphant moment, as I call it, where you had a huge setback, health scare, job loss, relationship breakup. You get the thing, right? You know that moment in your life when you were laying on the canvas of life, looking up, and life's referee was over you, counting you out, and you got back up. And I want you to think about that moment. What would you have needed then? And how do you become the version of that you can then give back to the world? And I think this is so special that there's somebody out there that needs you just like you needed you then. And maybe even then you had somebody in your life that picked you up. I know in my life, there's been some moments where just had some incredible people in my life. When I was laying on a hospital gurney in the ER and we found out about my tumor, it was my dad. And as the doctor gave me the diagnosis, my dad held my hand and he held back the tears, I don't know how, and he kept a straight face. Or I remember a breakup I went through, my dear friend Cody was there with me and I was on my knees crying and he came over me and he just started praying and he pulled out a Bible and he got me reading the Bible. And so for you, maybe it was a version of somebody then that you can take so many beautiful characteristics and emulate and model today. And as you go throughout your day and make decisions, you start becoming this version of you that you needed or that somebody gave to you. The purpose of life is to create that version of you, the ultimate version of you that I believe God created you to become. And then you give that light back to the world. And really think about that. A dear friend of mine, just to give you another example, she shared with me a story how she has anxiety late at night. And when she does, she calls her dad, whether it's 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and he'll sit on the phone with her every single night. Could you become that type of a mother or a father? Think about that mentor that maybe you had in your life that completely changed the trajectory of your life. Maybe there's somebody that just touched your life in so many different ways. And I think we can take all of these amazing, beautiful characteristics of these people that have shaped your life, or maybe characteristics you wish you had, and you start modeling them today. You start moving as if you're that version of you today. And I think if you start moving as that version of you, you start lifting other people up just like you needed then. So back to that moment that you had, that rock bottom moment. I just know for a fact there are millions of people right now that are in that exact moment. And I believe that if you could become that version of you through your example, through your content, to how you treat your local community, your neighbors, those around you, you're able to give that version of you that you always needed back to the world. So this was just on my heart today. I do hope this added a little bit of energy to your life. Maybe as you think about man, I needed that. I needed that version of me. I needed this. Then let that fuel you. Let that drive you to become that version that you give to the world. Here on a social media platform, I believe that you can become that version of you and give that version back to the world and touch and impact so many lives just through a simple video, through a simple podcast. And think about it. Have you seen a video by a creator that you watched, or a podcast you listened to, or a YouTube video that you streamed, and you just went, man, I really needed to hear that today? Here's what I'm giving you permission to do, to become that version today. See, we think there's some bell that will go off, or now you've arrived. Now I dub thee worthy to share their story. I dub thee worthy to help others. My friends, you could start today. The minute you finish this video, you could start becoming that version for somebody else. See, you don't have to be at the top of the mountain or have to arrived to reach back and lift somebody up. See, even if you're 30 days, 60 days ahead, you could still help them in your journey. And you know that journey. For you, it's health or business or sobriety or motherhood, fatherhood. You name the thing that you're incredible at. I can make a case that what you know today, your story, the lessons you've learned the good way, the lessons you've learned the not so good way, and the things you wish you didn't have to learn the hard way. I believe that shapes the ultimate version of you. And I believe that is what will change somebody else's life and make their path a little bit easier. And I just believe that this is what the mission of life is to figure out the ultimate version of you, who you needed then give that version back to the younger version of you. And often I think about this, when I record content, I feel like I'm sitting with me 5 years ago as a business coach. Brother, let's do this, this, and this. And that's why I create the content I do, or mistakes I made with health, fitness, you know all that stuff, right? And I just think it's so special that you can honor you. Maybe it's a young version of you. Maybe it's the little kid inside of you. Well, then go become that big brother they always needed. Go become that big sister they always needed, because I promise you this, that young version of you actually exists in this world. They're out there right now, and you can use your story to lift them up. You can use your light to lift them up. Another story for you, a dear friend of mine, she uses her platform. She talks about her health and the things that she's been through in her surgeries. And she just snapshotted a message where a young little girl, just like she was 30 years ago, had messaged her and said, "Thank you, you've given me hope again." And she's turned herself into the ultimate version of her that she needed when she was 5 or 6. And now 5 or 6-year-old version of her literally is a little girl in this world, being inspired by her journey, inspired by her courage, her strength, and her story. And I share that story with you to just give you an example of how much your impact and your light matters in this world, and how much you have to give and how much you have to share. And oftentimes I think we're held back to share because you're maybe not at 1 million followers yet, or you're not at 1 million in the bank yet. My friends, you're best prepared to help you who you used to be. That's my favorite Ed Milet quote. And you don't have to be on top of the mountain to go back and give a hand up and lift somebody up. And this was just on my heart today. I hope this has maybe added a little bit of energy to your life. If it has, drop me a comment. Let me know what you learned. More importantly though, let me know what you can do today, not tomorrow. See, we don't have to wait. That's what's so beautiful is your next interaction with somebody at the grocery store, you could lift them up. Your light, your smile, your spirit. The next phone call with a friend, you could lift them up. The next post you make, you could lift somebody up. And you don't need permission. You don't need to be at the top to do it. You can just start with what you know now, because I promise you this, you've been through some stuff. Your story matters, your journey matters, and somebody out there could be inspired and touched by your story. I hope this did hit home for you. If it did, drop a comment. Let me know what you're gonna do to start sharing. And I hope you learned a ton. I really enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys.